A volatile GPU market, thanks Nvidia, rumors of the PS6 and Next Xbox, and optimization woes couldn't stop this year from delivering some of the best-looking games of all time. Several games stood out for their stunning art direction and technical prowess, and more for delivering on their promise of impressive worlds littered with details. But which is the absolute cream of the crop? Let's dive into our nominees for the best graphics of 2025, starting with Ghost of Yotei. Everything about Sucker Punch's sequel is a massive improvement over Ghost of Tsushima, and that especially applies to the visuals. Much greater draw distance with almost no noticeable pop-in, more details, higher quality textures and materials, improved effects. There's even seamlessly implemented ray-traced global illuminations. All in all, whether you're in the throes of combat with swords clashing and mud splashing, or speeding through the fields of flowers, Ghost of Yotei does not disappoint. Silent Hill F. Between the expressive facial animations and grotesque environments, Silent Hill F is a nightmarishly stunning experience. Its environments are packed with incredible texture work and backed by realistic lighting and shadows that accentuate every gruesome reveal. Then there are the monsters, designed by Kara, which strike a nauseatingly fine line between beauty and dread. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. After pushing the limits of the Decima engine in the original, Kojima Productions somehow goes even further beyond in Death Stranding 2. Gazing upon mountain ranges with nary a hint of slowdown or pop-in, the phenomenal character models with realistic skin textures, it is just a feast for the eyes, and only gets better as you progress further in. For instance, the entire first encounter against Neil and his soldiers? Well, simply amazing. Doom: The Dark Ages. Count on id Software to take technology like ray-traced global illumination and make it a core part of its game while still delivering incredible optimization. Like its predecessors, Doom: The Dark Ages focuses on brutally fast, though definitely more methodical combat, but it still packs some fantastic sights like projectiles reflecting off of glossy surfaces, more realistic environmental destruction, and stellar atmospherics. All of this results in easily one of the best-looking shooters of all time. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Another excellent showcase of RTGI, Assassin's Creed Shadows brings late Sengoku-era Japan to life in surprisingly stunning ways. However, it's all the other details that help the experience come together so well. From the physics-based weather and realistic wind to the environmental destruction, especially when destroying a stand and watching dozens of fruit tumble onto the street. The depiction of various cities and castles is also incredible, making this feel like a lived-in world. Claire Obscure. No, Sandfall Interactive's debut role-playing game isn't the result of only a few people, but you have to admit, its visuals stretch the definition of AA to an obscene degree. While balancing its fantastical painterly art direction with realism, it delivers some truly surreal environments and moments, packed with detailed shadows and lighting. Even the world map with its diorama-like layout looks incredible. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2. If you played the original Kingdom Come: Deliverance, then the sequel's outstanding visuals should not be a surprise. However, the universal leap in quality is mind-boggling, especially considering the increased scale. The composition of the cutscenes and facial expressions of its cast are only the start, as you're treated to realistic fire, rainfall, and excruciatingly detailed foliage. And it all runs like a dream. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Having more detailed and realistic character models and environments than the original is only the start. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater goes to extensive lengths to look drop-dead amazing. Extensively complex skin meshes, a physically based material system for clothing, Lumen GI for realistic lighting and shadows, and the list just goes on. Of course, even with the improved facial expressions, Konami retained every single element of the original's quirky presentation, and we could not be happier. F125. Say what you will about its improvements over previous games, F125 still highlights the sheer beauty of the racing sim series. LiDAR technology results in more realistic tracks, but the implementation of path tracing, which enhances lighting, reflections, and sheer detail, especially during various weather conditions, is excellent. Of course, Codemaster's penchant for painstakingly crafting its F1 vehicles remains as praiseworthy as ever. Battlefield 6. With the amount of time and resources invested in Battlefield 6's development, it's somewhat surprising that it looks this good despite the lack of ray tracing and other advanced features. Nevertheless, the presentation is off the charts, whether you're running through an active battle with jets screaming overhead or watching buildings torn apart, their debris realistically scattering. The fact that it achieves all of this while still offering buttery smooth performance is yet another win. Dying Light the Beast. Speaking of not offering ray tracing and still looking incredibly good, is Techland's Dying Light the Beast. Lighting is a core element of this franchise, and its implementation is especially impressive here, as is the extensive range of parkour animations, which play out seamlessly, and revamped damage models. Striking enemies with melee weapons creates realistic cuts and deformations to gruesome degrees, giving melee combat that extra bit of edge. The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered. Virtuos opted for an intriguing dual-engine approach here, retaining the original code base and core while overhauling the visuals in Unreal Engine 5. Sure, it resulted in some problems, but Cyrodiil comes to life like never before. Emperor Uriel, with his realistic wrinkles and excruciatingly fine cloth textures, is only the start, as environments and NPCs are brimming with details. Arc Raiders. Several Unreal Engine 5 titles come under fire for their poor optimization and performance issues. Then you have Arc Raiders, which offers exceptionally peak performance. Achieving this meant opting away from the likes of Lumen and Nanite, but the fidelity is still surprisingly strong. Reflective surfaces on Arc, realistic looking weather, detailed destruction, it's almost enough to make you forget that this is a multiplayer shooter. Borderlands 4. Once you surmount the various technical problems on PC, there is no denying that Borderlands 4 is a great looking game. Gearbox's signature cell shading style looks more nuanced than ever, and it's impressive given the scale of its environments, the seamless exploration, and the surprisingly complex character designs, especially the enemies. Hell Is Us. There's an eerie atmosphere to Hell Is Us, made all the more tangible with the presence of time rifts and otherworldly creatures in otherwise realistic, war-torn environments. While it required further optimization at launch, discovering Lake Sinon's lush field of blue flowers or exploring the sleek interiors of Auriga Museum still made for some startling moments, further bolstered by the excellent texture quality, lighting, and reflections. And the title with the best graphics of 2025 is Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. Let's be real, this generation hasn't exactly been brimming with titles that push the graphical envelope. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach is, of course, the exception, and it becomes apparent in the opening minutes. Quick cuts of Mexico, the first location, look almost identical to real life. The skin tone on the characters, alongside details like realistic sweat and retinas, also make them feel that much more alive. And mind you, this is before Australia, where the sheer breadth of the world is unveiled, from the different biomes to the real-time weather effects, including dust storms. We've mentioned the battle against Neil and the impressive use of lighting, reflective puzzles, and effects, but it's even more incredible how this is achieved with screen space reflections rather than ray tracing. If all of this wasn't enough, seamlessly going from the main menu right into the game underscores just how ahead of the curve Death Stranding 2 is of the competition. For that reason, and many more, it is our pick for the best graphics of 2025. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.